The morning sun streamed through the tall windows of Adelaide Cottage as Prince William sat in his study, staring at the medical report that had just arrived. His hands trembled slightly as he read the words that would change everything for his family. The diagnosis was clear and terrifying. His beloved wife, Catherine, had cancer. The previous weeks had been a whirlwind of medical appointments and tests. What had started as routine health checks had quickly escalated into something far more serious. Catherine had been experiencing unusual fatigue and some concerning symptoms that initially seemed minor. As a mother of 3 young children, she had attributed her tiredness to the demanding schedule of royal duties and parenting. However, when the symptoms persisted, their family doctor had recommended further testing. The results had taken days to come back, days filled with anxiety and hope that it would be nothing serious. William had tried to maintain his composure during this waiting period, continuing with his royal engagements while supporting Catherine through the uncertainty. Now, holding the confirmation in his hands, William felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. He wasn't just a husband facing his wife's illness. He was a father who would need to explain this devastating news to their 3 children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. Each child was at a different stage of understanding, which would make the conversation even more challenging. William thought about Catherine, who was upstairs resting after her latest medical appointment. She had been incredibly brave throughout the entire process, maintaining her grace and strength even when faced with the unknown. The couple had always been a team, supporting each other through the pressures of royal life. But this challenge would test them in ways they had never imagined. The silence in the study was broken by the sound of children's laughter coming from the garden. George, Charlotte, and Louis were playing outside, completely unaware that their world was about to change. Their innocent joy made William's heart ache as he contemplated how to preserve their childhood, while being honest about their mother's condition. Catherine had been the heart of their family, organizing their daily routines, helping with homework, and ensuring that despite their royal status, the children had as normal a childhood as possible. She had always been hands-on with parenting, from school runs to bedtime stories. The thought of how this diagnosis might change their family dynamic was overwhelming. William remembered his own childhood experiences with family trauma, particularly losing his mother, Princess Diana, at such a young age. He was determined to handle this situation differently, ensuring that his children felt supported, informed, and loved throughout whatever lay ahead. He knew that honesty, delivered with care and age-appropriate explanation, would be crucial. The medical team had explained the treatment options and timeline to both William and Catherine. While the prognosis was hopeful with proper treatment, it would mean months of medical procedures, possible side effects, and significant changes to their family routine. Catherine would need to step back from many of her royal duties to focus on her health and recovery. As William sat in the quiet study, he began to formulate how he would approach this conversation with each child. George, being the oldest, would likely understand more, and might have questions about what cancer meant. Charlotte, with her perceptive nature, had probably already noticed that something was different about their mother's recent behavior. Little Louis, being the youngest, would need the simplest explanation while still feeling included in the family discussion. The couple had always prioritized open communication with their children, believing that honesty, delivered with love and reassurance, was the best approach to difficult situations. They had prepared their children for various aspects of royal life, explaining their responsibilities and the public interest in their family. Now they faced their most challenging conversation yet. William stood up from his desk and walked to the window, watching his children play in the garden below. Their carefree laughter reminded him of what was most important, protecting their sense of security while preparing them for the journey ahead. He knew that with careful planning and the right approach, they could navigate this crisis as a family, emerging stronger and more united than ever. That evening, after the children had gone to bed, William and Catherine sat together in their bedroom, finally having the private moment they needed to discuss how to tell their children about the diagnosis. Catherine, despite her own emotional turmoil, remained focused on protecting their children's well-being. Her maternal instincts were stronger than her fear, and she was determined to handle this situation with the same grace she brought to all aspects of their family life. The couple spent hours discussing each child's personality and how they might react to the news. George, at 10 years old, was naturally curious and often asked detailed questions about everything, from his future royal duties to how things worked. They knew he would want to understand exactly what cancer meant and what the treatment would involve. His analytical mind would likely lead him to research and ask follow-up questions. Charlotte, being 8, was incredibly empathetic and emotionally intelligent. She had always been particularly close to Catherine and seemed to have an intuitive understanding of people's feelings. William and Catherine suspected that Charlotte might have already sensed something was wrong, given her recent behavior of staying closer to her mother and asking if she was feeling okay. 6-year-old Louis presented a different challenge altogether. His young age meant he wouldn't fully grasp the concept of serious illness, but they needed to ensure he didn't feel left out of important family discussions. Louis was naturally cheerful and energetic, and they wanted to maintain his joyful spirit while keeping him informed in an age-appropriate way. Catherine suggested they speak to the children together, presenting a united front that would reassure them that both parents were handling the situation. They decided that honesty, combined with plenty of reassurance about love and support, would be their approach. William agreed, remembering how much uncertainty had affected him as a child, when adults tried to shield him from difficult truths. The couple also discussed practical matters that would need to change in their daily routine. Catherine's treatment schedule would mean some adjustments to the children's activities and commitments. They would need to coordinate with their staff to ensure the children's schedules remained as normal as possible, while also being flexible when Catherine needed rest or had medical appointments. William suggested involving their closest family members in the support system. Both sets of grandparents would play crucial roles in providing stability and additional love during this challenging time. King Charles, despite his own health concerns, had already offered his full support, as had Catherine's parents, Michael and Carol Middleton, who had always been very involved in their grandchildren's lives. The timing of the conversation was carefully considered. They decided to wait until the weekend when there would be no school pressures or immediate royal engagements. This would give the children time to process the information and ask questions, without the distraction of their usual weekday responsibilities. They also wanted to ensure they would have the entire day available to spend together as a family after the conversation. Catherine expressed her concerns about how the public aspect of their lives might affect the children's experience. As members of the royal family, there would inevitably be media attention and public interest in her health journey. They needed to prepare their children for the possibility that people might ask them questions, or that they might see news coverage about their mother's illness. William reassured Catherine that they would work with their communications team to manage the public narrative in a way that protected their family's privacy as much as possible. They would control the information that was released and ensure that their children's privacy remained paramount throughout Catherine's treatment. The couple also planned to speak with the children's school to ensure their teachers were aware of the situation. This would help create a supportive environment where the children could express any concerns or emotions that might arise during the school day. They wanted to make sure their children had trusted adults available to them in all aspects of their lives. As they finalized their approach, both William and Catherine felt a mixture of nervousness and relief. Having a plan made the daunting task feel more manageable. They knew that their children were resilient and loved, and that with the right support and communication, the family would navigate this challenge together. Catherine took William's hand as they concluded their discussion, drawing strength from their partnership. Tomorrow would be one of the most difficult days they had faced as parents, but they were confident that their love for their children and their commitment to honest, caring communication would guide them through the conversation ahead. Saturday morning arrived with unusually beautiful weather, and William and Catherine decided to have their family conversation in the garden, where the children always felt most relaxed and comfortable. They set up a cozy area with blankets and cushions under their favorite tree, creating an atmosphere that felt safe and intimate rather than formal or frightening. After a leisurely breakfast together, Catherine suggested they all spend some special family time outside. The children eagerly agreed, excited about the prospect of having both parents' undivided attention on a weekend morning. George brought his favorite book, Charlotte gathered some flowers from the garden, and Louis carried his beloved stuffed animal, completely unaware of the serious conversation that was about to unfold. William and Catherine exchanged a meaningful glance as they settled down with their children. Catherine's voice was gentle but clear as she began speaking, explaining that she had something important to share with them. The children immediately sensed the gravity of the moment, with Charlotte instinctively moving closer to her mother and George setting down his book to give his full attention. Catherine explained that she had been feeling unwell recently and that the doctors had discovered she was sick with something called cancer. She used simple, honest language, explaining that cancer was when some cells in the body weren't working properly and needed special medicine to help them get better. Her calm, reassuring tone helped keep the children from becoming frightened, even as they processed this unexpected news. George, true to his nature, immediately asked what cancer meant and whether it was serious. William stepped in to explain that while cancer was indeed serious, the doctors had caught it early and had excellent treatments available. He emphasized that Mummy would be getting the best medical care possible, and that many people who had cancer went on to live completely healthy lives. Charlotte's eyes filled with tears as she asked if her mother was going to be okay. Catherine pulled her daughter close, assuring her that while the treatment might make her feel tired sometimes and she might need to rest more than usual, she was going to fight very hard to get better. She explained that the whole family would work together to support each other during this time. Little Louis, not fully understanding the medical aspects but sensing the emotional weight of the conversation, asked if Mummy would still be able to play with him and read bedtime stories. Catherine smiled through her own tears, promising that even though she might need more rest some days, she would always make time for the things that mattered most, like hugging her children, helping with homework, and sharing special moments together. William explained that there would be some changes in their routine. Mummy would need to go to the hospital more often for treatment, and sometimes she might not feel well enough to do all the activities they usually enjoyed together. However, he assured them that the family would adapt and find new ways to spend quality time, and that their grandparents and other family members would help ensure they continued to feel loved and supported. The children had many questions, each reflecting their different ages and personalities. George wanted to know about the medical treatment and how long it would take. Charlotte was concerned about whether her mother would lose her hair, having heard about this side effect from cancer treatment. Louis simply wanted to know if he could help make Mummy feel better. Catherine and William answered each question honestly but in age-appropriate ways. They explained that the treatment might indeed cause some physical changes, but that these would be temporary and that being bald could even be fun. They could pick out pretty scarves and hats together. They assured Louis that his hugs and drawings would indeed help Mummy feel better, as love was one of the most powerful medicines of all. The conversation also touched on the importance of keeping this information private within the family for now. The children understood that this was personal family business, and that they should talk to Mummy or Daddy if anyone asked them questions, or if they heard people talking about their family. William and Catherine wanted to protect their children from unwanted attention, while also preparing them for the eventual public awareness of Catherine's illness. As the morning progressed, the initial shock began to settle into acceptance. The children asked to stay close to Catherine for the rest of the day, and she happily agreed. They spent time reading together, with the children taking turns choosing stories and Catherine making sure to give each child individual attention and reassurance. By lunchtime, while the children were still processing the news, they seemed more settled. George had started thinking practically about how he could help around the house. Charlotte had decided she would draw pictures to decorate her mother's hospital room, and Louis had appointed himself as the family's official hug provider. Their resilience and immediate desire to support their mother filled both William and Catherine with pride and hope for the journey ahead. In the days following the family conversation, each child processed the news about their mother's illness in their own unique way, revealing the depth of their individual personalities and the strength of their family bonds. William and Catherine watched carefully, ready to provide additional support and reassurance as their children navigated this emotional challenge. George, being the eldest and most analytical, threw himself into research mode. He asked his father if he could use the computer to learn more about cancer, wanting to understand exactly what his mother was facing. William supervised these research sessions, helping George find age-appropriate medical websites and explaining complex terms in ways a 10-year-old could understand. George's questions became increasingly sophisticated, showing both his intelligence and his deep concern for his mother. The young prince began taking on additional responsibilities around the house without being asked. He started making his bed every morning, helping Louis with his shoes, and even attempted to make breakfast for the family one weekend morning. When Catherine found him struggling with scrambled eggs in the kitchen, she was touched by his desire to care for her. George explained that he wanted to help her save energy for fighting the cancer, showing a maturity beyond his years. Charlotte's reaction was more emotional and intuitive. She seemed to develop an almost psychic connection to her mother's energy levels, appearing at Catherine's side whenever she looked tired or sad. The 8-year-old began creating an elaborate art project, a series of drawings and crafts designed to make her mother smile during difficult treatment days. Her artwork filled the house with colorful reminders of love and hope. Charlotte also became more protective of her family's privacy. When a classmate mentioned seeing something on the news about the royal family, Charlotte politely but firmly changed the subject, showing remarkable composure for someone her age. She had clearly understood the importance of keeping their family's private matters confidential, and she took this responsibility seriously. The little girl also started a special ritual of bringing her mother flowers from the garden each morning. She would carefully select different blooms and arrange them in small vases, explaining that beautiful things would help make the medicine work better. Catherine treasured these daily gifts, keeping each arrangement until the flowers naturally faded. Louis, at 6 years old, responded with the pure, uncomplicated love that characterized his personality. He didn't fully grasp the medical implications of his mother's diagnosis, but he understood that she needed extra love and care. Louis appointed himself as the family comedian, dedicating himself to making his mother laugh every day with silly jokes, funny faces, and impromptu dance performances. The youngest prince also became incredibly affectionate, insisting on giving his mother extra hugs and kisses throughout the day. He would randomly announce, "I love you, Mummy," during meals or while playing, as if these declarations were magical spells that could heal her. His innocent faith in the power of love brought comfort to the entire family. Louis began drawing pictures of the family engaged in future activities, going on holiday, celebrating birthdays, and playing together in the garden. When asked about these drawings, he would explain that they were pictures of when Mummy is all better, showing his absolute confidence in his mother's recovery. William noticed that all 3 children became more considerate of each other during this time. Sibling squabbles decreased significantly, and they began looking out for one another in touching ways. George would read bedtime stories to Louis when Catherine was too tired. Charlotte would share her toys without being asked, and Louis would offer his favorite snacks to his siblings when they seemed sad. The children also developed a new appreciation for family time together. They requested fewer individual activities and more group experiences, seeming to understand instinctively that being together was more important than ever. Family movie nights became sacred events, with all 3 children snuggling close to their parents on the sofa. Catherine was amazed by her children's resilience and emotional intelligence. Despite facing one of the most challenging situations a child can experience, they had responded with love, maturity, and strength. Their reactions reinforced her determination to beat cancer not just for herself, but for them. The family's school counselor, who had been informed of the situation, reported that all 3 children were coping remarkably well. While they occasionally seemed quieter or more thoughtful than usual, they continued to participate actively in school activities and maintained their friendships. The children had clearly learned from their parents' example that difficult situations could be faced with grace and dignity. As the first week after the conversation concluded, William and Catherine felt immense pride in their children's responses. Each child had found their own way to contribute to the family's strength and show their love. The foundation of open communication and mutual support that they had built over the years was proving to be exactly what their family needed to face this challenge together. As Catherine began her treatment regimen, the family worked together to establish new routines that would accommodate the changes while maintaining as much normalcy as possible for the children. William took on a more prominent role in daily parenting duties, and the entire household adapted to support Catherine's health journey, while preserving the loving, stable environment their children needed. Morning routines became more flexible to accommodate days when Catherine felt well and days when she needed additional rest. On her better days, she continued to help the children get ready for school, sharing breakfast and ensuring they started their day with maternal love and attention. On more difficult mornings, William stepped in seamlessly, having learned the intricacies of each child's preferences and needs. The children adapted to these changes with remarkable understanding. George became an unofficial assistant to his father, helping to remember important details about his siblings' schedules and preferences. Charlotte took pride in being able to help Louis with tasks that Catherine usually handled, like finding his favorite socks or remembering which books he needed for school. Louis, in turn, became the family's official mood booster, sensing when anyone needed extra cheer. Afternoon activities were restructured around Catherine's treatment schedule. On days when she had medical appointments, the children would spend time with their grandparents or trusted family friends. These arrangements were presented as special opportunities rather than inconveniences, helping the children maintain positive associations with the changes in their routine. Catherine's parents, Michael and Carol Middleton, became regular fixtures in the household, providing additional stability and love. The children adored their grandparents and enjoyed the extra attention and different perspectives they brought to daily activities. Carol, in particular, had a talent for turning ordinary afternoons into special adventures, whether through baking projects, garden exploration, or storytelling sessions. King Charles also made more frequent visits to spend time with his grandchildren during this period. His presence provided both comfort and continuity, reminding the children of the broader family support system that surrounded them. Charles would often engage the children in his favorite activities like painting or gardening, creating positive memories during a challenging time. Homework time became a family affair, with William taking on a more active role in academic support. He discovered a talent for making learning fun and engaging, turning math problems into games and helping with history projects by sharing stories from his own education and experiences. Catherine would often join these sessions when she felt well, creating a collaborative learning environment that the children treasured. Meal planning required careful consideration of Catherine's changing appetite and energy levels due to treatment side effects. The family learned to prepare simple, nutritious meals together, with each child taking on age-appropriate cooking responsibilities. These cooking sessions became opportunities for connection and learning, as the children developed new skills while contributing to their mother's care. Bedtime routines were adjusted to ensure Catherine could participate even on difficult days. If she was too tired for the usual story reading, the children would read to her instead, or they would all listen to audiobooks together. These quiet evening moments became some of the most precious parts of their day, providing comfort and connection regardless of how Catherine was feeling. Weekend activities were planned with flexibility in mind. The family discovered the joy of low-key activities that could be enjoyed from home. Movie marathons, puzzle competitions, and indoor treasure hunts became regular features. When Catherine felt well enough, they would venture out for gentle walks or visits to local attractions, but there was never pressure to maintain their previous pace of activities. The children's friends and classmates were gradually made aware of the family's situation in age-appropriate ways. The school community rallied around the family with incredible support, offering help with carpools, playdates, and academic assistance. This community support helped the children feel normal and supported outside their home environment. Communication remained a priority throughout this period of adjustment. The family instituted regular check-ins where everyone could share how they were feeling and what support they needed. These conversations helped identify potential problems early and ensured that no one felt overwhelmed or forgotten during the chaos of medical treatments and schedule changes. Catherine made special efforts to maintain individual relationships with each child despite her treatment demands. She scheduled one-on-one time with George, Charlotte, and Louis separately, ensuring each child received focused attention and could discuss any concerns privately. These individual moments became treasured highlights for both Catherine and her children. The family also developed new traditions that accommodated Catherine's health needs. Cozy days became official family events where everyone stayed in comfortable clothes, enjoyed simple pleasures like hot chocolate and board games, and focused on being together rather than doing specific activities. These days often became the most memorable and meaningful family experiences. As the weeks progressed, the new routines began to feel natural rather than imposed. The children had adapted beautifully to the changes, showing resilience that amazed their parents daily. William found fulfillment in his expanded parenting role, while Catherine discovered that accepting help didn't diminish her role as a mother, but rather strengthened the family's bonds and capabilities. Several months into Catherine's treatment journey, the family had not only adapted to their new reality, but had discovered unexpected sources of strength, joy, and connection that transformed their relationships in profound and beautiful ways. What had initially seemed like an insurmountable challenge had become a testament to the power of love, communication, and resilience. The children had grown in remarkable ways throughout this experience. George had developed a deep sense of empathy and responsibility that went far beyond his years. His natural leadership qualities had strengthened as he helped coordinate family activities and looked out for his younger siblings. Teachers and family friends regularly commented on his increased maturity and thoughtfulness, noting how he had learned to balance childhood joy with genuine care for others. George's relationship with his father had deepened significantly during this time. The additional one-on-one time they spent together while Catherine rested had created opportunities for meaningful conversations about everything from royal responsibilities to personal values. William treasured these moments, knowing they were building memories and connections that would last a lifetime. Charlotte had blossomed into an even more compassionate and intuitive person. Her artistic talents had flourished as she continued creating beautiful works to brighten her mother's difficult days. The 8-year-old had also developed remarkable emotional intelligence, often knowing exactly what each family member needed before they asked. Her teachers noted improvements in her leadership, skills, and her ability to comfort classmates who were facing their own challenges. The little girl had also become more confident in expressing her feelings and needs. The family's emphasis on open communication had helped Charlotte understand that all emotions were valid and that talking about feelings made everyone stronger. This emotional maturity had positive effects in all areas of her life. Louis had maintained his joyful spirit while developing a deeper understanding of love and family support. Though still young, he had learned that helping others felt good and that small gestures could make big differences in people's days. His daily flower deliveries to his mother had evolved into a general practice of bringing happiness to everyone around him through thoughtful actions. The youngest prince had also become more independent in age-appropriate ways, learning to dress himself more efficiently and take care of his belongings without constant reminders. These small steps toward independence had boosted his confidence and made him feel like an important contributor to the family's success. Catherine's treatment had progressed well, with doctors expressing optimism about her response to therapy. The family had learned to celebrate small victories and milestones, finding joy in good test results, successful treatment sessions, and days when Catherine felt energetic and healthy. These celebrations had taught them all to appreciate moments of wellness and happiness in new ways. The experience had also strengthened Catherine and William's marriage in unexpected ways. Facing this challenge together had deepened their communication, trust, and appreciation for each other. William had discovered new depths of his own strength and capability as a parent and partner, while Catherine had learned to accept support gracefully without feeling like she was failing in her roles as wife and mother. Their extended family relationships had also flourished during this time. The children's bonds with their grandparents had grown stronger through increased time together. King Charles had found great fulfillment in being able to support his son's family during their crisis, while Michael and Carol Middleton had treasured the opportunity to be even more involved in their grandchildren's daily lives. The family's approach to their public responsibilities had evolved as well. When they did appear together at royal events, their connection and mutual support was evident to everyone present. The children had learned to balance their private family experience with their public roles, showing maturity and grace that impressed observers while maintaining their authentic childhood spirits. Friends and community members had rallied around the family in touching ways. Classmates had made cards and drawings for Catherine. Neighbors had offered assistance with daily tasks, and their broader social circle had provided meals, transportation, and emotional support. This outpouring of care had reinforced important lessons about community, friendship, and the power of people coming together during difficult times. The family had also developed new appreciation for simple pleasures and everyday moments. Quiet mornings together, successful school presentations, shared laughter during family games, and peaceful bedtime conversations had taken on deeper meaning. They had learned to find extraordinary joy in ordinary experiences. Looking toward the future, the family felt stronger and more connected than ever before. Catherine's health journey had taught them that they could face any challenge together, that love truly was the most powerful force in their lives, and that difficult experiences could lead to unexpected growth and blessing. The children had learned invaluable lessons about resilience, compassion, family loyalty, and the importance of supporting loved ones during hard times. These lessons would serve them well throughout their lives, both in their personal relationships and in their future roles as members of the royal family. As Catherine continued her recovery and the family settled into their new understanding of what truly mattered, they carried forward the knowledge that their love for each other could overcome any obstacle. The experience that had initially threatened to divide their attention and strain their relationships had instead brought them closer together, creating bonds that would remain unshakable for the rest of their lives.